Welcome back to the show. We're trying to sell the house, obviously, and we have a realtor, a good friend of ours, Bryan. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Bryan Collins. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams, and I service all Southern California.
Perfect. So we're gonna have a few questions for Bryan, and he's gonna tell us about current situation, the real estate market in Southern California, how much we can sell this house for, what we think we can get out of it, what we need to prepare the house, and stay tuned. It seems like we're in a seller's market, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And
The most extreme seller's market that there's probably been in,
Do you know where that is?
from almost since 2005. When the prices were so crazy right before everything kind of crashed. We've surpassed those prices, we've surpassed those numbers like months and months ago.
So we were considering just renting this house because I've always known you never sell real estate, right?
Sure.
But after listening to Saeed, my father-in-law, he said, look, there's a lot of headache involved in renting, and because of the way home prices are appreciating, this is not usual. Can you speak more about that, like in terms of where do you think that it's better to sell it versus renting it at this time?
Yeah, look, if you had just purchased the home maybe 2 years ago and you had very little equity already built in the house, and then the prices were appreciating where they were, I think that at that point I would say, hey, maybe you might want to think about
Just
renting it out.
Right.
The rental market right now is just as hot. The housing shortage does not just go for buyers.
Okay.
It goes for renters as well. Like they're looking for properties to rent as well. So renting, you are getting a little bit more of a premium as far as a rental price.
Mm-hmm.
But also with that premium, people expect, hey, I'm paying this crazy price that I wouldn't have paid even last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like if even one tiny thing goes wrong, they're going to expect you to be on top of it and do that. But also as sellers or as landlords right now, with a lot of the COVID protection that is happening, there are a lot of people, a lot of renters who are defaulting, they're not paying, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it.
That's the part that's scary.
Yeah.
In terms of like in California with the moratorium, you can't evict people.
No.
Right.
And there are people who are going on over a year now of not earning one dime on their property, still paying property taxes, still having to pay their mortgage, but not having that income. And there's nothing they can do about it. They can't kick the people out, even though at this point they deserve to be kicked out. It's definitely a much more risky situation. And so when you have more than, I would say, enough equity to make it for it to make sense for you to sell your house,
mm-hmm.
especially with the houses, the pricing appreciation that it is, like it's just no brainer.
So why is it a seller's market? Why do you think that this particular house we're gonna make more money selling it?
Yeah, right now the seller's market that we're in is mostly due to the pandemic. Is almost everything is. What did they tell you? They said shelter at home. That was the very first thing they told us a year ago, almost a year ago, like today, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a year and 10 days. They said stay at home, shelter at home. Well, to a lot of people that meant I don't have a home, I'm renting, I am not in a stable situation where, I have a roof over my head, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So people started panic buying, basically, just like toilet paper, just like they did with paper towels and water and meat and rice and everything else that you could get your hands on. They started panic buying homes. And so at the beginning, it was just, hey, let's figure it out. And then the interest rates started dropping lower because, the government uses the interest rate, that monetary rate, to control the population and the money that goes out into the economy. When they need more money out into the economy, they lower interest rates. They lowered the Fed rate to 0, so bank-to-bank borrowing went crazy because they weren't even paying any interest rate on borrowing from each other.
Cheap money.
It's cheap money, exactly.
Yeah.
So they wanted to get as much money out there as they could, so they dropped interest rates. I have people that refinance their house at 1% interest rate. Like, it's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
And right now purchases the interest rate now a year later, their interest is starting to come back up a little bit. The lenders are really working in the 3.5 range.
So you think it's gonna go up even higher as far as interest rates?
Yeah, because they're trying to slow it down now a little bit with the housing shortage that happened over the last year. I mean, builders can't build fast enough.
Right.
Apartment complexes can't build fast enough. They can't, and even then they have all those COVID protections for their residents who haven't been paying. So there's a lot of extra people in houses that wouldn't normally be in those houses because of whatever their situation is. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many factors.
Do you think these housing prices are gonna go back down?
Yeah, I mean, eventually they will definitely go. Real estate is a cycle. It's always a cycle. If you look at a graph from, over the last 10, 15 years, you'll see a solid, upward trend. But during that upward trend, if you break it down year to year, you're going to see up and down this way. It's like a roller coaster, and it's what when we train people to be real estate agents. When I train people to get their real estate license, I do classes every single week, and so when I train those, I tell them, like, look, it's the real estate roller coaster. Like, some years you're going to be crazy up last year, and then over the next couple of years, as soon as the COVID protections start being released and kind of coming down a little bit, you're going to see a lot more of the more extreme cases of the COVID protections. You'll start seeing those evictions happen. You'll start seeing more foreclosures and all of that, and that's going to drive prices down a little bit. Now, it's never going to be what it was in 2010 when you were buying a house for $250,000.
It's not gonna drop that.
It'll almost never drop.
Okay, right now we're at. Well, I bought the house at $370,000.
370.
And just looking on Zestimate, it's already at 460.
Use the Z word.
470.
Don't use the Z word.
It's not.
It's the agent's enemy.
Why is that?
Well, they just became a brokerage, so now they're trying to steal you, general public, away from us by saying, hey, look at all the tools that we provide you, and now even though that estimate is always going to be off.
Really, that's crazy.
What did you say your estimate was?
It's 460.
Well, it's a lot lower than what you told us.
Sure. So they use an algorithm, based on recent sales, recent everything. But what they don't account for is they usually give a percentage of differential. So you have the bedrooms and bathrooms. They'll do a +1, +2 either side, and they'll use those numbers. When I go in and do my numbers, I only look at 5.3s in the neighborhood because this is a well built out neighborhood.
Right.
There's going to be multiple homes that are going to have your exact same floor plan, and the chances of one of them selling in the last 3 months is
pretty high.
Yeah, it's exactly pretty high. So I can use that data to say, hey, look, the most accurate information I can give you, and even the number that I gave you at 495 was I think the low end. That's the average.
Okay.
Like, let's put it at this point, and then we can see where the market takes it, because your house is only worth what the market's willing to pay for it.
Sure.
Right.
That's what we have to tell everybody when we explain value. It's like you could have a house that you think is worth $600,000, but if nobody's willing to pay $600,000, then your house is not worth $600,000.
Yeah.
So that's the education that we have to bring always to people.
Yeah, because people have some really fantasy expectations.
Yes.
Sure.
There are high expectations.
Because you love your house and you
Yeah.
put money into your home and all your emotions, and
Yes.
you're just like,
The sentimental value is what drives most people
Right.
to expect a higher return, because they put that love, they put the sweat, the tears, the man hours, the labor.
Memories.
Exactly. I mean, the handprints in the cement, you know what I mean? Like, those mean something to people, and when it comes down to letting that go, they feel that is valuable.
right.
Where to the average buyer, they don't really care.
matter,
Most
yeah.
likely they're gonna even maybe cement over the handprints. You know what I mean? It's like, it's sad, but it's just that you have to look at it from that perspective to get the most accurate value.
Okay, so we're sitting in a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house.
Sure.
It's 2,500 square feet. And we have about 1,400 square feet of yard space. There's a koi pond in the back. It's very well maintained. We put cement in the back of it. Before it was gravel, but we paid to have the pavement done. serene. The neighborhood is very quiet. It's like 0%
safe.
crime rate.
Nice.
You know, our neighbors are nice. We have a sheriff across from us, a firefighter on the other end, and this guy is like the nicest guy ever. You can't ask for a better community to live in.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that where would you think the sale price for this house would be? In what range?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like like I said, when I looked up the values of the recently sold in the area, the 495 would probably be the best place to start it.
Okay.
You could start it at 5. You know, there's always something to be said about the psychological aspect of real estate. If you price it at the top of the market and put it out there, eventually someone will probably buy it. But there's always the chance that it's going to take longer. Pricing something just even $5,000 or $10,000 below what the actual market value is, it's almost guaranteed to drive it the price to more where you want it.
Okay.
I always tell sellers almost every single time that if they want a price it 10,000 below, and you'll probably get 5 over what you're aiming for. Because in this market, that's just what's happening right now.
What
And
can
as a seller, you
people-
gotta take
What can
advantage.
people do to make their house more worth or have more value?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say about just curb appeal. You know, making sure that everything in the front of the house, when someone drives up, it is neat. It doesn't even need to be clean. It doesn't even need to be anything. Just neatness counts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first impression. You give one chance to make a first impression.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
Then once someone pulls up, they look at the neighborhood and they look at the house and they go, does this match? Does the value that I'm expecting to receive match what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing and feeling in the neighborhood? Obviously, you can't control your neighbors and you can't control the neighborhood. Location is something rarely you can actually change or do anything about.
Yeah.
But you can control everything that happens in front of your house. You know, just your yard, your driveway.
So up here,
A simple pressure wash driveway
Okay.
makes a big difference because it cleans the driveway. There's no oil stains. There's no nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looks newer. Pressure washing stucco, making sure the windows are wiped down. There's very simple things that cost almost nothing.
yeah.
Pressure washers are like what, like $80 on Amazon? Like
I
they're
know.
very inexpensive.
What about-
$40 to rent at Home Depot.
What about additions to the house, like structural additions?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're permitted, every addition makes a house better. You know, as long as it's not something very specific or custom to what you want. If you are, growing daffodils in the back of your house and you wanted to have an entire daffodil center and you were, was made to grow plants or something like that, not everybody's going to love that.
Right.
That's not something that is widely usable. Unless you sell to somebody who is also going to be an avid, plant grower, and then they can say, hey, I can use that space because I too
You care
like the
about
same
that.
thing.
Yeah. What about koi ponds? Is that-
Yeah, I mean, look, for the most part, I would say I would just call that a decorative water feature. I don't think that it takes away from it. It definitely sounds nice. It very much looks nice. It's
It's clean.
yeah, I feel like I don't think that it's going to hurt the. If that was your entire backyard, I would say, hey, that's going to be a very specific use.
Right.
The only thing downside I would say to a koi pond is that it's an open water structure, so people with small children may be concerned about a drowning factor, which that's something that it could be fenced off if they were concerned about it. I mean, but also that could very easily be turned into a pool.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I
what we
mean?
were
Natural
thinking
pool.
too. Maybe
Just a little wading pool, something like that. A natural, just like a natural little pond feature, something to go hang out. I feel like that. Without the fish in there, are there fish in?
Yeah.
there's some
We got about
fish.
5 of them.
Okay, I didn't see fish. But yeah, that would be the only thing that I would be concerned about is if someone came in with small kids, is they would say, "Oh, that's going to be a drowning feature." That would be the only possible safety hazard. So.
That's really. So what's the steps here now to sell our house?
Steps are pretty easy. I mean, step 1 is listing agreement. Come to terms with the all the different things. the specifics of the listing, you're determined what your price is. At the end of the day, I can give you my recommendation on a purchase price, but you're the boss. Like, it's your house. It's you are determined. You are the one who determines how much you want to sell your house for.
Okay.
So we figure out that. We figure out the time frame, how long you want to have it listed. I mean, honestly, I don't list them for longer than 60 days now because, I mean, if it's not off the market in 5 to 6 days, then we did something wrong.
Yeah.
So.
I need to rewrite.
So how soon do you think
we can move this?
sell the house?
I mean, honestly, if we listed it on Wednesday, we'd probably have it in escrow by Monday.
You think?
No, I guarantee you.
Oh, really?
That is crazy.
That's not
Wow.
Fast.
I listed another house. I listed it on Wednesday. First showing was on Thursday. By Friday, we had so many offers. The seller was just like, "Look, we got an offer that we liked. We're just going to take it. We're not even going to show it through the weekend." So we've already opened up escrow. It was only on the market for 2 days. I think the average now is 5 days. It's about 5 days on the market now.
Okay. I mean, is that like specific to you, how well you market, or is that just
I would like to say yes, but
everybody is experiencing that?
yeah, I mean, most people are experiencing that. I do think that there is something to be said with, I mean, I do my research. I make sure that the pricing is as accurate as it possibly can. I go in saying, look, your house will appraise for the price that we put it up for. Like, I almost guarantee it. And I usually try to leave wiggle room in there so that it will appraise for more.
Right.
Because most likely people are going to come in more. And there are problems with buyers paying over what a house is valued at. And then when the appraisal comes in low, they have to come up with cash to make up the difference. So it's more expensive for a buyer right now because of the cash requirement that they need to have.
Now go deeper into that. You said, is it because the bank only get loans what the house appraises for?
Yeah, the bank will only loan up to what the house appraises for. So a bank will say, we will loan you up to, let's say this house here, like it appraises for 500,000, but they offered for or 510.
Okay.
The bank says, we'll give you 500,000, but you have to bring in 10,000 extra dollars to make up for the difference in the value. Because the house is the collateral for the loan.
Yes.
So the house plus the cash should equal the purchase price. And that way the bank can say, hey, look, now we have all of our money secured. We have the $500,000 that you're going to be loaned secured between your cash and this house.
Now, how do we get an appraisal done?
The appraisal is done by the buyer.
Okay.
Once you have an accepted offer, the buyer will order an appraisal, the buyer's lender, and then they'll come in, they'll do an inspection, they'll check all the neighborhood, the recent sales. I personally will drop off a packet for the appraisal so that there's no misunderstanding about how much we expect the house to appraise for.
Okay. Why would a house fall out of escrow? On that
Typically it's because of, right now it's usually buyer loses their job, the buyer does something untoward, they buy a car, they spend a large amount of money, they do something that is that the lender doesn't like. That's typically right now the only reason that or our house appraises for much less than they expected. Mm-hmm. And they would need to come up with like $20,000 instead of 10, and they just don't have the money.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, right now, American savings is at an all-time high, especially with stimulus money going out and everything else. I feel like most people have the money, and that's why this market is sustaining this over list price, no appraisal contingency. Like we'll pay whatever we need to pay to get into the house. There's a desperation and cash to back it up.
That's crazy. As of last year when the pandemic started, I really thought that the housing prices were going to crash.
Yeah, me too.
Because it just didn't seem sustainable how high it was.
I mean, being a real estate agent, that's exactly what we thought too. We were preparing ourselves. I mean, we had endless hours of meetings and like brainstorming sessions. Okay, how can we help ourselves maintain our current amount of business so that we can feed our families, so that we can do all of the things that we need to do, and how are we going to do this? And then of course, I think not only did everybody start doing extra things to make sure that we were able to survive as real estate agents, but then of course the housing shortage and the boom and everything that happened all at once or whatever. I feel like we've all been very fortunate as far as how long this is going to last. I don't know, but
Yeah.
saving every dime that I can save, you know,
Right.
like just because I don't know when it's going to be. And I mean, I worked very well before. I've been doing this for 5 years full time. Like I'm not a beginner, you know what I mean? Like I've got a lot of past clients who, you know, give me referrals and all this stuff. So I have very steady business beyond this, but it's been just unbelievable since the pandemic started. It's just been crazy. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
So do you expect it to start to slow down and normalize within the next year, or maybe a couple of years down the road?
I mean, I would be surprised if it happened in the next, like, before 2022. I mean, I think with the renormalization of the world, you know, the vaccine coming out and everybody becoming more comfortable. I mean, you've got amusement parks starting to open up next month. You've got, you know, things coming back. The movie theaters are open now. Like I've seen people going to the movies.
Yeah, I was
very jealous.
surprised to see that. I was like, because there's a farmer's market down the street, and they were open
It
and
was
packed.
packed.
Yeah.
Which was something that we hadn't seen in almost a year now.
I mean, people are parking all the way down the street, and
So there's this pent up pressure. There's a need for
Yes.
people want to gather again.
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah, for
go
sure.
back to normal.
And because of that, now people are also feeling more. I feel like a lot of people didn't feel the pressure that they thought they were going to feel, just for their jobs and everything else. Like people being able to work from home and that whole like work from home economy just going crazy. I mean, my brother worked in an office job for the last 7 years, and then they just told him, hey, you don't need to come back. Like you just keep working from home. We're gonna make that permanent. Like you're now working
that's
from
really
home.
cool, yeah.
And he loves it. He's
course.
super happy about it. But I mean, it's a weird thing to go from an executive office job to now living, you know, working in your living room. And
It's the new normal.
yeah, yeah, exactly, the new normal. But I think that as far as the home prices, I feel like people will start getting more comfortable. And right now, the housing shortage, because there was not a lot of people listing their homes.
Yeah.
A lot of people who would have moved aren't. So now we're coming into the summer months when a lot of people will move. Schools are reopening, which means that people are going to be more comfortable moving into the school that they really want to be in instead of staying where they were because of shelter at home and all of this other stuff and all the uncertainty and all the scare things that happen. You know, there's everybody, you know, trying to get everybody to stay at home. But like once it starts loosening up, I mean, in LA, like just in general, the Inland Empire, I mean, there are usually like 15, 20,000 listings at any given day. And I'd be like, now there's like 1,200. Like it's a percentage of what it used to be.
Right.
And so that's from people, you know, staying at home and not wanting to give up their safety, their shelter, their whatever. And I'd be like, now with home prices appreciating, I think that we're going to see a much more big push for homeowners trying to sell, which of course will flood the market with homes.
Yes.
The buyers will be very happy. Home interest rates will probably stay right around the same, especially if more people are listing, but you're going to see house prices normalize. Right now the house prices are like this because there's only like 4 houses for sale in the neighborhood.
Okay, so when supply meets demand, then it'll level off.
It'll level off. And then if it stays leveled for too long, eventually prices will start dipping because buyers have options. Right now, buyers have no options, so they're throwing all their money at the seller saying, please, 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 please. And then that's what they're doing. And then eventually when the prices level off, they go, well, we have a choice of this one, or this one. We don't need to offer over list. We can make a app listing offer and see who takes it.
Yeah.
And then if somebody takes it, that's great. And if that happens long enough, then we'll start seeing, well, now we have 5 options. We're going to give you 5,000 less and you 6,000 or
So
whatever.
the prices start to dip.
They'll start dipping down. And
That's
then
interesting.
it'll tighten back up and prices will go back up again. Like it happens like this. It's a breathing, it's like lungs expanding, lungs collapsing. You know what I mean? It's just a breathing economy.
cycle.
It is I like that analogy. It's like human nature. It's like human beings.
Yeah.
We go through different cycles. We breathe in, we breathe out. I liken the way the market works, whatever it's the real estate market or the stock market, to human nature.
Yes.
You just have to treat it the same way and expect those ups and downs.
Sure. You put on 20 pounds, you know, you take off 20 pounds. It just all happens all the time.
Yeah. Hey, this was really informative. So I don't know, what's the whatever you want to do now, you want to take pictures or do you want to schedule it for some other time?
Well,
Yeah.
I would assume the house is not really, you know,
Yeah, so I would say
dirty right now.
in the next few days, I would say just declutter as much as possible. I
Yeah.
tell people that if you don't need it in the next 30 days, I'd say even 40 days right now, I'd say box it up, put it in the garage. Like, just get rid of as much stuff as
That's what we've
possible.
been working on anyway, so yeah.
That's
We'll
good.
just do that really quick. We have until Wednesday.
Yeah. So Wednesday 11, the photographer will be here. Ed, I probably won't be here for that.
Okay.
I have a class I teach Wednesday morning, so I won't be able to make it. But yeah, I go over just the paperwork and we kind of talk about that kind of thing. And then before I leave, I'll do the drone pictures.
People never buy furnished, right?
I mean, they do sometimes, but most people will just,
Okay.
they expect it to be empty.
So we definitely don't need
Gotta
to
figure out. We've been trying to sell it. We put it on eBay and
We put it all on,
Facebook.
yeah.
Trying to sell the furniture. It's interesting. Like I'm really excited about selling the house because then it gives us money to look for other plans. We want to. We need a property that cash flows. We've considered multiple things. We've considered getting a fourplex. We've also considered getting self-storage where we live on the premises and run it.
Yep.
So those are up on the table, and I think that cash will help us make that move.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that a lot of people don't know is that you can use an FHA loan, which is of course 3.5% down payment, for up to a fourplex.
Really?
So
It doesn't, not just the 1 unit.
nope. It's good for. There's certain limits on how much you can spend for it, but most people just don't know that you can use that FHA because the point of using FHA is that you can put less money down.
Right.
So you're leveraging the financing, using 3.5% down payment in order to make a very large purchase. But when you make a very large purchase with 4 units, you do have to live in one of the units with an FHA loan, so you have to be a resident of them, but the other 3 can be rentals.
Mm-hmm.
They can produce income, which of course can pay for your entire mortgage. And then you live life, with house hacking where you don't pay your own mortgage.
Yeah,
So-
now that's the
Right.
goal. We need our mortgage to be paid for somehow.
Yeah.
And then,
Right.
with only having to put 3.5% down instead of a conventional 20% or 10% or even 5%, you can save a lot of money with the equity that you have in your house. You can turn that into, you are married, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a larger exemption for the capital gains taxes. You probably won't have to worry about.
That's a good point you bring up because I was concerned about capital gains when we sell it.
Yeah. How much do you owe on it?
It's
350 you said?
no
Or
346.
Okay.
Okay, 346. So, yeah. So you'll probably walk with, I don't know what I think I told you like 90 something, like $100,000, something like that.
Profit.
Did I give you your net sheet?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll go over that too. We'll figure that out and give you a better estimate. But because you're married, you get a $250,000 exemption from your first $250,000 of profit that you make on selling your primary residence.
Okay.
You can only do that once every 2 years, so that's what you haven't sold anything in the last 2 years, so
Yeah.
you should be fine with not having to do that. But had you sold something in 2 years, you can do what's called a 1031 exchange,
Mhm.
where you can defer the taxes that you owe by purchasing a property that is the same or more expensive. With the money that you used, or the money the profit that you made from your house, and then that way you can get out of paying of like 36%, whatever it is, capital gains tax, but still get a property that is. But you can't. Hold on a second. You can't do that with your primary. It would have to be for. It'd have to be for an investment property.
But okay, that'd be for buying a second property.
Yeah, buying a second property that you were like renting.
But for primary, we can do FHA.
Yeah, primary, you can purchase FHA. You can purchase up to a fourplex. This is Riverside County,
Yeah.
Or is this
Yeah.
I can never tell where
This
the
is
line
the
is.
Riverside
This
Yeah.
is,
So Riverside County, I can look up I think that it's a fourplex. You can purchase up to like 1.2 million a fourplex with 3.5% down using an FHA, as long as it's your primary residence.
yeah.
So it's you get a lot of leeway once you get above the single family, and then you go to like 2, 3, or 4-plex.
Cool.
Okay.
This has been very informative, Brian. I appreciate that. You know,
Yeah.
we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
We're ready to make that sale. Till next time, stay tuned, like and share, and leave a comment. Peace.